I should be typing this, but I have Parkinson's disease. The reason I'm calling on Ohio State um, public schools, Ohio public schools, to get after the misjudgment of Magistrate Nancy Russell in the sad case of a victim of extreme cruelty named Mackenzie Shirilla. The judgment was preposterous. I've been doing my very best to secure a verification of the evidence for the experiment that she was hijacked and used for from special agents of the FBI, the governor's office, the attorney general, professional news reporters, and hopefully commonplace police officers of integrity. The evidence shows that she was used in an extreme situation. And the reason why I want to emphasize what an extreme situation she was used for is because the illustrations I provide of leads into who did it, which I will explain to you some. I'm working on it now. It's difficult for me because I have Parkinson's. We're Holocaust survivors, which means even NAM veterans would have a hard time fathoming what was meant by an extreme situation in the minds of these players. Watmaker and Burston, in neurobehavioral research and an index name from the Hollywood dramaturge of what they identify themselves to be Manson cinema snuff for Neva Pornographic, which invaded a public school in the city of Pittsburgh, identifies that they used a nerve agent for what Pitt admitted was neurohypnosis in defense of trafficking of me by a man who was arrested in a $6 million museum heist. And these are the people behind the terrible cruelty to the mind of Mackenzie Shirilla, as I am doing my level best to corroborate and show meaningfully. I wrote a letter announcing my belief of her innocence. It's perfectly clear that she's innocent, that she was used in a neurohypnotic, mind-shattering act of chemical bondage and slavery as a child, of all things, by people who nearly killed her. They nearly killed her by their own recipe admission in print of their hand. The testimony that I have shows that, and you can deny it only by saying that what was done to me is not relevant to what was done to her, but it is the exact same people in the exact same society, in the exact same prison system, which is a result. She is in the same position I am in, which is to resist them. It's the act of a criminal, even though they are the ones forcing poisonous, murderous hallucinogens on us as children. To enter into the war on drugs is paradoxical because you would be violating the law. They are law enforcement. They are prison authorities. Watmaker names himself in connection with a chemical recipe that nearly killed a child after the child was brutally battered into submission, into taking it, and they did the same thing to Mackenzie Shirilla. and ignored it in evaluating her case. Ignored that the men in the car were adults who surely knew about the use of psilocybin, thus contributing to their own car crash. The insanity of what was done is captured in a note from a child after it was done to him by the same people with the same motive to make it a joke. I wrote a letter declaring my faith in Mackenzie Shirilla's innocence because I can see it clearly from the evidence to the News Herald. And when I was scrolling through the pages, I saw an article about the Israeli-Saudi relationship and how carefully you must measure formulas by a journalist out there. And I thought, oh no, all I'm going to hear next is that this Kyle Thomas, whoever he was, or whoever his name is, was having lunch with James Donald, the attorney who once ran for prosecuting attorney and represented Shirilla on the high calling of faith in the letter of the law, which the judge just ignored. The judge went to the recipe manual of her ESP and a Ouija board and conjured a far-fetched storyline about well, you can read it. Read her if you don't believe me.